So we played through all the Life is Strange episodes as of now because it's 2019, and now we're going to rank them all. Let's talk about it. What's up, human beings? Welcome back to another Midweek Speak here on the Games and Groceries channel. But instead of a regular Midweek Speak, we're just going to rank all of the Life is Strange episodes we did in our playthrough, meaning Life is Strange Season 1, Before the Storm, and Life is Strange Season 2. We're just going to rank them all about what we want in this. But before we get to our ranking, we asked you, what are some of yours? So we have two answers from Cito Sweet Home and Nikki, of course. And we want to read your answers of what you think is your favorite of the Life is Strange. Let's get to it. So Cito Sweet Home says, it's a tie between The Dark Room and Brave New World. I haven't played Life is Strange 2 yet, but the beginning of Dark Room always had a punch in the gut for me. Also was a sense of urgency now because Max and Chloe had to figure out the mystery before the town gets destroyed. And of course, the ending of that episode made me legit scream. I didn't see it coming until a friend told me to think about all my conversations with the character before then. And Brave New World simply because so much happens in it. And to me, it seemed kind of tragic because at least how I played it, Chloe really did have other friends at Blackwell and people did like her. It's just because of her dad's death and her situation. None of that helped her at all, and it sent her into a spiral in who we met in the first game. And the play scene was amazing, to be honest.
And then our friend Nikki said, if I let nostalgia win, it would obviously be Chrysalis. And even though it was a little slow, Wolves was amazing too. It was interesting to see how the final decision wrapped up in variations of your play style. It also made me
like a character in season 1. Like,
oh no. But the real winner is somewhere between Brave New World and Farewell. Brave New World because so much is happening there. Taking part in the play, the Amber Price interaction, beautiful. And Farewell, I guess it speaks for itself. The fateful day, the duo together, it's so strong and powerful. Which, I mean, I think we can agree with that.
Mm-hmm. No, totally agree. And we asked like some of you what your favorites are, and you might agree, you might disagree. Now, before we get into our ranking, this is solely based on story, not really gameplay at all, like which one played the best. But in terms of story, this is how we see all 15 episodes that we played so far. Coming in at last place is, of course, Rules. The reason why we rank this dead last is because it's arguably the slowest episode of the entire series. I think Roads, which was the previous episode, you know, it set up a lot to do with Life is Strange 2, and then Rules comes along and really just pumps the brakes, takes away all of the motivation for me to keep playing it because it is a long episode, it's slow.
Yeah.
And even Captain Spirit's character is just a bit off in Rules. So that's really why we ranked it last. We just didn't see a lot of good out of that episode.
Coming in 14th place is Awake, which is the first episode of Before the Storm, where we get to see Chloe between losing her dad in the farewell episode and catching back up with Max in Life is Strange Season 1. We enjoyed that episode, but in the end, it moved slow, and that season as a whole, at least for me, they all kind of talked a little too slow. It took them a little too long to get conversations out. And even though we cut breaks for like introduction episodes to get everything going, it just seemed to move a little too slow and didn't have much sustenance to us.
It was an introduction episode, especially coming out of season 1. That was the next episode we ever got out of season 1.
Yeah.
And it just ranked low because it's one of those like pilot episodes deals where you gotta get through the pilot before it gets to the good stuff. Coming at 13th, Nani? Is Captain Spirits. The reason why it's ranked so low in the bottom 3, yes, I did connect with it on a personal level. I totally did, and I love Chris's character. However, playing through all of season 2, Captain Spirit didn't really have any point in the Life is Strange story. All really Captain Spirit was, hey, look, this is some gameplay mechanics of Life is Strange Season 2, and it appears in rules, but altogether, Captain Spirit as an episode in the Life is Strange series is pretty insignificant, and that's why he's ranked in the bottom 3, unfortunately.
And next is Hell is Empty, which is the final episode of Before the Storm. And we're kind of getting into that tough part where we weren't sure where to put certain things. It was like, oh, well, this one's a little bit better than this one, but it's not. And so Hell is Empty ended up where it was, I think, just because the impact of the final decision didn't match up to the impact of final decisions in other episodes, in the actual first season and second season. And it was a very important episode and it was very fun to play. The impact of it didn't match up to the impact of the story in other episodes that we have ranked above it.
And really, Hell is Empty, like you said, it just didn't match up to the final episodes of Season 1 and Season 2. It also felt like, yes, it connected the story to Life is Strange 1, but altogether, it just wasn't as impactful to us.
Yeah.
So again, now we're getting to the point where it's becoming a difficult decision of where to place these episodes. So coming in at number 11 is Wasteland, which I do agree that it was so much better than Rules, which is why it's above Rules in our ranking. But altogether, I think it just introduced characters that proved to be also, like Captain Spirit, kind of insignificant to the rest of Life is Strange Season 2, where we get to meet these characters and some of them pop up here and there, but it really is just an introduction of characters for 3 hours, and they don't really serve any kind of impact on the story. I think it's a nice character development for Sean and Daniel together, especially when we get to see Daniel becoming really powerful with his newfound power.
Yeah.
I think it's a good character study. But altogether, I don't want to rank it too high up. So that's why we put it at number 11.
Going into our top 10, we have Farewell episode, which is the episode that's the little short episode that came with Before the Storm, where you kind of play through the day that Chloe's dad died. And we were actually kind of surprised that we ranked it this low because we do enjoy that episode. We enjoy having that bit of a backstory. But in the end, we just kind of felt like Farewell didn't serve too much of a purpose.
Yeah, we were talking about it and just saying that the whole episode is fine, but the real impact comes in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, the most interesting part to play is the last couple minutes where they're discussing how they're going to be friends forever no matter what. And really the rest of the episode is just kind of playing a bunch of mini games, and it just isn't interesting as far as a story goes.
Yeah, and it did crack our top 10, but at the same time, it's not ranked too high because it's only really there for the last 10 minutes of that episode. So coming in at number 9, though, is Chaos Theory, which is episode 3 of Life is Strange Season 1. And this is another bridge episode where, spoilers, if you did not play any of the Life is Strange, spoilers, it's right after the Kate suicide attempt, and whether or not you saved Kate, it kind of impacts this. But it's kind of that bridge where Max is in kind of like this dark place where she doesn't know what to do with her powers, and she witnessed her friend die, or she saved her friend, depending on your choices. Altogether, it is kind of like this happens and then this happens. We get to the pool, we play hide and seek with a police officer. But the reason why it is ranked so high is because it is a significant episode, especially when you get to the end.
Oh my gosh, that was a nice twist.
And you get to really see the impact of, if you mess with your powers too much, it will affect the course of history.
Yeah.
And we did want to rank it a little higher, but altogether, this is another bridge episode, but it is a very well done bridge episode.
Coming in at number 8 was another shocker for us. We have Roads, which is the first episode of Season 2.
Yeah.
And if any of you watched our playthrough of any of Season 2, you know that we weren't the biggest of fans of Season 2. But Roads was so high up because as an introduction episode goes, it was still very interesting. It kept you...
It set up the story very nice.
Yeah, it kept you interested the whole time. Like, you wanted to know, like, even though we kind of knew what was going on because they had released it early, it still kept you interested. It kept you going, and it like you said, it set up the season very well. And as far as story goes, we got to know the brothers in a good way, and it didn't feel like it was wasting too much of our time.
It put a lot of momentum to the season. It put a lot of hope into the season. From Captain Spirit going into Rhodes, I had a lot of expectations for this season.
Yeah.
And it's because of Rhodes, because of how it was all played out, the first 15 minutes of the episode, and then trying to take care of your brother. Fantastic episode, but it is ranked lower in our top 10 just because it is another pilot episode. Yeah. But we wanted to rank it in our top 10 because it did set up the season very nicely. Yes. Coming in at number 7, though, is episode 2 of Life is Strange season 1, Out of Time. Yes, we put the bottle episode in our top 10. We put the bottle episode above Chaos Theory.
I don't know how it got that high up.
We talked about
did.
We talked about this for a good 2 hours of our ranking and just saying like which one goes where. But here's the thing. I wasn't the biggest fan of Out of Time because of the bottles, because of the mini games, but I think Out of Time still served that really significant role in the whole Life is Strange season 1, because this is where Max is starting to really find the potential of her powers to say that, oh, I can tell the future, or, oh, look, I can find bottles, Chloe. Freaking bottles.
I don't think it's that bad, hon.
I hate the bottles. But then at the end of this episode, you really get emotionally attached to Kate, and you get to really feel for Max trying to save Kate, because you're up on that building and trying to talk her down, and hopefully she goes with you, or you have to watch her die. Out of Time really was an excellent episode, which is why it's ranked this high.
Coming in at number 6 was Faith, which was episode 4 of season 2, and that's the one where we're saving Daniel from the church. And that was so high up because that was another one that was very impactful, very emotional. Not a second of your time was wasted in that episode.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed it. It was like going from one thing to another. If you weren't dealing with Daniel, you were dealing with your mom. It's a little lower on the list because there were some points where it's like, all right, we could have skipped that. Like, we didn't have to have such a long conversation with the mom, and some things didn't make sense. But overall, it was an impactful, very good episode, in my opinion.
And as Christians ourselves who, face the repercussions of these kind of cult dynamics, like hurting the name of Christianity, I think it handled that cult very well.
Yes.
And it defined it as a cult and not all Christians, which was, good on them for Don't Nod. But, I had a lot of good memories with this episode, especially with the racists of when we're in the desert.
Yeah.
That was handled fantastic.
That was very well.
So we ranked it this high really because of how well it handled these real life situations.
Heavy topics too.
So before we get to our top 5, I want to hear from you. Write down in the comments down below, what would you rank all the Life is Strange episodes? How would you, do it differently? Is it kind of the same as ours? But let me hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Rank all the Life is Strange episodes. Tell us what you think about our ranking, and, throw a like up there or a dislike if you don't like it. Whatever. But cracking into the number 5 spot is Chrysalis. Again, a lot of you want to put it up there in number 1, but Chrysalis also serves as this pilot episode kind of momentum where you do get to introduce the characters. You're not sure what these powers are. And when I first played Life is Strange, Chrysalis almost took me out of it. I didn't think I would enjoy it because it is just about a teenage girl in a high school. I don't know. I wasn't too fond of it, but because I went through in that first episode, I got hooked into season 1. And I think Chrysalis really does set up what Life is Strange as a series can do. And I think it's still important in the whole series, which is why we put it at the number 5 spot.
Coming in at number 4 is Wolves, which is the very last episode of season 2, which was just amazing.
Yeah. It's a shocker that Life is Strange 2 episode cracked our number 5 or top 5 spot.
We were this was another surprise for us that it was it was in 4th place. It was above Chrysalis.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you got to know it's good.
Yeah.
But the final decision was just, again, so incredibly impactful. And then if you stuck around to watch the fallings out of what happens throughout the years after that, it's just insane. So that episode is just full of emotion, so much impact in the story that we couldn't not have it in the top 5.
And it did wrap up Life is Strange 2 very well. We were waiting for this kind of episode where everything kind of connects. And Wolves is it's a good ending for a season like this. So going in for our top 3 episodes, first, at number 3, it's going to be Brave New World. Brave New World is, of course, episode 2 of Before the Storm. And I think this episode is another bridge episode, but I think out of all the seasons, this bridge episode was excellent because now you are introduced of who Rachel is, what is Chloe's deal, why is she so aggressive, and in between the final episode of Before the Storm, where, you got to conclude all of this, now you're in this middle of their friendship and developing and their characters and why is Rachel so angry and how are we going to solve her family issues, and not only that, but maintaining a friendship, a relationship if you make that choice. But it's kind of like this teenage angst, but it handled in a very positive way. In a very authentic kind of way. And I just think the writing and the narrative of Brave New World, especially with the play scene and how nervous Chloe got just being on stage, I think the narrative and the writing was handled very well in Brave New World, and it really holds a special place in my heart.
Coming in second is Polarized, which I don't think that surprised us too much. The final episode of season 1 is just insane and sad and scary. It's so many different emotions in one episode, and the way that they developed the teacher into someone that you thought was your friend, and then somehow in the last episode he's the monster that you've been fighting and you didn't know, and
reveals everything about how you should have seen that coming.
And it's insane, and that much of an emotional roller coaster had to be second place. It had to come that high.
And that final decision.
Yeah, the final decision is just, it's too much.
So if you've been keeping track, you know what's our number 1, and it is Dark Room, which is episode 4 of season 1. We were kind of tied between Polarized and Dark Room, but the reason why Dark Room kind of goes ahead at a number 1 spot is because of the spoilers. It's because of the twist that happened in Dark Room, where you really trust Mr. Jefferson and how loving and caring he is to his students, and then just for it all to twist, and he shoots Chloe in the head. And then you find out that he also killed Nathan. He's about to go after Victoria, and everything's kind of going together. But aside from that twist, I think it's the best character development for Max and Chloe, because Max has seen so much at this point. She rescued Kate from the roof. She just got back from trying to kill Chloe in the past. Not trying to.
Oh, jeez.
But Chloe asked her to. Max has experienced so much at this point in Darkroom that you get to see her character really become who she's meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think Darkroom is just so excellent and from beginning to the twist end. I think it was the best overall episode in the Life is Strange series altogether. So we hope you enjoyed this kind of longer midweek speak. There's just a lot to go through, and if you haven't already, link up here, check out our complete chronological order playthrough of the Life is Strange series, starting with Farewell all the way up into Wolves. So we played it chronologically. So if you're interested in that and getting to see how we grew in our Let's Play abilities, go ahead and check it out. And other than that, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when all these episodes come out, including our podcast. And if you like this video, definitely give it a like, give it a dislike if you didn't, and definitely write down in the comments down below, what did you think? What's your ranking of each episode? We want to hear all of your rankings. Let's hear it. Write it down below. All right, until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.